Hello and welcome to my video. Today I'm going to be talking about the cabin air filter in the Fisker Ocean. Next to me I have two filters that I purchased on Amazon that match the dimensions of the original factory filter as close as possible, and I'm going to be testing those out in the car. I'm going to be showing you the full process of how to access, remove the filter, install the new filter, and close everything back up. So let's get started. Here's what we're going to need today to do this project. You're going to need a T20 or Torx 20 bit. This is one right here. And then you're going to need a screwdriver or wrench to attach to it. There is one of the screws that you need to be removing that is in a tight location, so you're going to need a short screwdriver such as this one, and then I will insert this in like that. So this one here. I'm also going to need a long screwdriver for accessing inside the cavity under the dashboard to get the filter. So I am going to need to put this on this one here for the reach that's needed for that. And the other thing I suggest having is some work gloves, since removing the cabin filter cover can be a little tough on your fingers. The pinching that you need to do on the clips, I recommend using gloves. I'm also going to be modifying the cabin filter to match the OEM filter, and I'm going to need a pair of scissors to cut. And I'm also going to need some duct tape or gaffer tape in order to make a handle for that filter. And that's all you need as far as tools and supplies for this project. The cabin filter is located on the passenger side of the car. Let me open up the door here. And here we can see the passenger seat area. We have a panel right here. And we're going to have to remove this to get behind here. And we're also going to have to extract the taco tray out from its location here. And behind all of this is where the cabin filter is located. So I'm going to have to remove some screws and remove this panel. And also another lower panel underneath has to come off too. So if you saw my video on the fuse box, on the driver's side, it's a very similar procedure. So I have my T20 wrench here, and there are two screws or bolts right here and here. And then there's two more right here and here. So we have to remove these four in order to get this panel down underneath. All right, so those are removed. We're going to need to get behind this panel. So I'm going to need to do a few things to access this area. I'm going to pull up on this door sill trim panel here. I'm going to back up a little so you can see it better. So you can just put your hand underneath the edge here and then pull up. There are several clips that hold it in place. Sometimes they pop off, and then you can move it out of the way. Sometimes the clips get stuck in here and you'll have to get a screwdriver or something to remove them out and then put them back on the trim panel. Next thing we have is the weather stripping here. We're just going to pull this out and it will come off of the body. I happen to have some electronics in here, so ignore that for right now. I'm going to pull that out a little bit, and then there's going to be this trim piece right here. So right here you can grab it. It will unsnap, and then you can remove this. Then you'll have access to this panel here. You can just pull it from the edge. It should snap out like that. Place it aside. Now that we have access, there is a T20 screw right down here. So I'm going to remove that. Place that aside. That will allow this piece to be removed at this point. So I'm going to fold this weather seal back into place just so it stays out of the way. Now this whole thing is held in by clips. Now that we have this removed, it should come out. You can pull up from the bottom. And it should unsnap. All right, there it goes. Man, that was a lot of clips holding that in place. So the next thing we have to do is remove the taco tray. So here's the taco tray, and the whole mechanism is held in place by a number of screws. I see at least 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 holding it in place. Let me see how many it takes to get this out. So I'm going to take this one out. All right, I've removed 3 screws from this side and 3 screws from that side. Let's see if this comes out. Snap. All right, a couple snaps have to be undone. And now we just remove the whole taco tray and place that aside. And way back here, you can see that there is the cabin filter housing, and the cover is right here. There's a small screw that keeps it in place, so we'll have to remove that. I had to get out my long screwdriver and put the T20 bit on the end of it so I can reach inside the cavity to get in there. And as you can see, that is the screw right there. It is the same T20 bit that I used for all the other screws. So let me try to get that one out. Just in case this falls off, I am going to put my finger on it so it does not fall down into the cavity. All right, it's hard to see here, but on each side there is a clip holding it in. You'll need to pinch it, the top and bottom, and then you should be able to get the cover off. There we go. See, you have to pull on the clips on the top and the bottom, and then it will release. So a little bit tricky. And then when you want to reinstall it, you just pop it back in. So I'm going to do the same for the other side. All right, so I now have it loose. I'm going to take that out. Just remember, when you reinsert it, it's going to have the screw side facing up. So now we have a good view of the filter. There is a little tab here that you pull up on, and then the entire filter comes out. And here's a close-up of the detail here. Airflow is going down. We see it's a MicronAir 350430, made in Slovakia. Now let's see for the test here. All right, so this is what the filter looks like. It's actually not that dirty. If you look at the pleats, I really don't have much in the way of dirt in here. There is a little bit here and there. But the big thing is the shape of the filter itself. It's rectangular, but it has these slits, and this allows it to fit into the housing. So here's a close-up view of the housing. You can see these like separators or fins. And yeah, so not sure why they designed it to be that way other than to be difficult. But that's the way it is. This has to fit through those, and we're going to have to make a filter look like this. So I am going to have to cut the two filters that I purchased to match the dimensions of this cut line on the left and on the right. So that will be interesting. So I'll compare this in size to the filters that I just got on Amazon. Here we have the filter removed from the car. And as you can see, this is the front side. And it has a little flap here, which is like the handle. Has the information right here. And this is what makes it unique. It has it separated into 3 sections. It is connected at the front and separated in the back so it can fit into the filter housing. And putting a piece of paper next to this, you can see it is quite dirty. Didn't notice it at first until I got it out and in the light compared to a white sheet of paper. The filter that's used by the Fisker Ocean is just a plain filter. There's no added carbon. Usually more expensive filters have a carbon layer on the top for filtration, for better absorbing of odors and other issues like that. So let's compare this to the other filters. I purchased these two on Amazon, an AirTechnik and the Bosch. Both of these are very similar in size, and let me compare those to the OEM filter. So let me take the AirTechnik out first. And I will remove it from the bag. And as you can see, this is a filter with the carbon activated layer on the top. So this is where it would get inserted, airflow facing down, so it would be like this. So as you can see, the biggest difference here is that the pleats in the original are up and down, and they are across in this version. So if we want to modify this with the cuts for the pleats, it would be a little bit more difficult to cut down the sides like this versus just doing it along a pleat. So that is a little bit troublesome. Let's compare the size. If I bring up the filter side by side here, let me put the handle down. You can see that the width is almost identical. In fact, I think it is just 1 millimeter wider on the replacement filter in width. So pretty close. Let's look at the side. The side is also about 1 millimeter longer than the original, as you can see right here. The biggest difference is going to be in the height. And I'll put these side by side. Supposedly, this is 2 millimeters thicker than the original. And I just tried putting this in the car and it will not fit in the filter housing. It is just too tall to fit in there. Unfortunately, I thought maybe 2 millimeters wouldn't make a difference, but it is the disqualifying dimension in this filter. So unfortunately, this one does not work. I'm kind of sad because this is really inexpensive. I think the pricing of these are around $10 to $11, so very affordable. Unfortunately, it's got two things against it: the pleats going in the wrong direction and the height being 2 millimeters too high. So that's unfortunate, so I'm going to have to return this one. It's not going to work for today. Let's take the Bosch out. And first thing we notice is that it also has the carbon layer on the top. And it does have a similar, let's see, where's the airflow, like that. The nice thing is, as you can see, it has the same pleat direction. The number of pleats is lower on the Bosch compared to the OEM MicronAir. There are 42 pleats on the original versus 34 on the Bosch. But as you'll see, it really doesn't make that much of a difference. Let's compare. Let me have them in the same direction here. The width of it, as you can see, the Bosch is slightly narrower. It measures 257 millimeters versus 262, so it is 5 millimeters shorter. That actually will be fine for our situation. The depth is practically the same. I think it's possibly a millimeter longer, but just feeling it next to each other, it feels almost identical in the depth area here. Now, as far as height goes, that's another good thing. The height is 2 millimeters less on the Bosch, so that means it will fit into the housing where the other one didn't. So as far as measurements go, this is the closest I could get in matching the OEM filter. So this is what we're going to be working with today. When we look at the cuts in here, we're going to be making similar cuts on the Bosch. So what I'm going to be doing is measuring the endpoints here, and then I'm going to make a cut along this. So it's going to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 pleats, and then I make the cut, 6 pleats, and make a cut. And what I'm going to be doing is cutting along here and make it look identical to the OEM. And then it is going to be cut all along the top of this pleat, all the way to the end, so it matches this one. That shouldn't be too hard. You can use a pair of scissors or shears or a knife, however you want to cut it. That's what we'll be doing next. All right, so I have clipped it so it should match the OEM. So if we put them side by side, we'll see that the These two sections here match in width along with the center. Now I'm going to work on doing the handle. All right, so I'm going to give it around this length. Let me see how long that is over here. Roughly 14 inches or about 35 centimeters. Then I'm going to split it down the middle. I'm going to apply it to the ends. And this is the fun part. Where it wraps around the front, I am just going to apply the duct tape to itself. And I just made a handle. So I'm going to do the same thing for the other side. So now I have two handles here where I can extract it out of the housing. All right, so let's test this inside the car. Here I am back in the car again. We can see the HVAC air filter here, the housing for it. I am now going to take the new Bosch filter. I'm going to put it into position. Make sure that the airflow arrow is pointing down. And then we're going to insert it into the housing. You may want to do the left first, then the center, and then the right. And it is going in smoothly. Look at that. That is awesome. So it is working. I just need to fold the little handles in so that when I put the cover on, they're not in the way. So as you can see right here, it is looking pretty good. Take the filter cover so that the screw side is facing up. And then I'm going to put it so it's over the center. Yeah, that's looking good. All right. Then I just need to push it in so it snaps in on the left side. And then I will push it so it snaps in on the right side. All right, there we go. Then we just have the screw. Want to be very careful. I do suggest having a magnified Torx bit if you can. I don't happen to have one, so I am going to kind of guide it through and hand thread it through the opening just to get it started. Then I'm going to take the screwdriver and get it in the rest of the way. All right, it is tightened, and this is not going to go anywhere. So we have successfully replaced the air filter. All we need to do now is put everything back where we found it. We'll put the taco tray in first, put those 6 screws in and tighten those up. And then we put our front panel on, and then the panel on the bottom, that kick panel, those 4 screws in. And then we can put the trim plates on the side. And I'll get those done right now. Well, that about does it for the video today. I have successfully replaced the OEM filter with a generic filter that I got on Amazon. I hope it works well, and I'll let you know how that is doing as time goes on. I must say that the Fisker Owners Association is working on getting these OEM filters for the owners. Hopefully in the next month or two, they should be available for purchase on the tsunamiautomotive.com website, and they're probably going to be around $20 or so. roughly the same price that I paid for that Bosch filter. And by the way, I had a hard time tracking that Bosch filter down. A lot of them are with that size are in Europe. This one happened to get shipped from Australia on Amazon. Kind of interesting. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them down below. I have all the links in the video description. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.